Welcome to A Toast to Truth. This is where I share the mental, financial, and emotional frustrations of being an entrepreneur. This is season 9, episode 4, Overcoming Business Attacks. And this episode, I have a guest co-host, Chante Prince. And so before, she kind of comes on, I want to share how we met. We actually met through email. We met through email, and then we met in person at an event we were working at. So um, in email, she was cool, but in person, I knew who she was immediately, and my spirit kind of connected to her. And now she is also helping me promote the Get Me Paid Influencer Boot Camp. So in such a short amount of time, and I tell people, I was like, my discernment is very, very high. So if I like you, that's a good thing, because I don't like many people because my spirit gets so irritated so quickly. Um,
Mhm.
my biz bestie was like, everybody annoys you. I was like, I know, like, why is that? But anyway, we'll get into it.
Okay.
Now the topic again is overcoming business attacks. And our
Mhm.
question is, how do you overcome something you take personal?
Okay.
So we're going to talk about that. But before we get to the question, I went back through all past episodes, and there are about 5 episodes that relate to what we are talking about. So let me pull them up. So the first one is going to be in season 1, episode 3. And I believe that one is on biz coaches who never played the game. And you'll understand that when we get into some stories we share. The next
Okay.
one was season 2, episode 5, where we talk about people who steal your business ideas. Okay, so again, we go talk about that. Next one is season 3, episode 3, how to fight business bullies. Season 6, episode 7, all skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Hmm.
And oh, that was season 7, right? No, I'm sorry. That was season 6, episode 7. And then in season 7, episode 3, talk about beyond the betrayal. So, business attacks, it seems like we hit this about once a season, but it's such a common struggle. Like this season, we're talking about the real struggles of entrepreneurship, but it's a common struggle that a lot of entrepreneurs face and deal with and not even know what to do. So before we get into the discussion, I'll let Chante kind of give her answer on how do you overcome something you take personal, and then I'll give my answer.
Hi, Bernita. Thank you for inviting me onto your podcast. It's a pleasure to be here communicating and conversating with you today. Basically, how do I, okay, give me the question again because I want to make sure that I'm approaching it right.
How do you overcome something you take personal?
Okay. Well, okay. So, first of all, let me tell you what a wise man told me when I first started off in business, almost 17 years now. I started my business in 2001, but I didn't go active until 2002, just getting all the administration and stuff done. And a wise man told me, which is one of the most business savvy men in my family. He said, like, if you're going to get into business, just make sure that you don't do business with family nor friends. And something about that insight has stuck with me all the way up until today. So, all the years that I've been doing business, it's never been personal. I have structured my business and the operation of my system um, in such a way that even when it looked like it was going to be personal, it still wouldn't reach me in that particular area.
Oh,
So,
that's good.
late, yes, yes, it's very important that you
Yes.
structure your business in a way, especially like if you are the head of the business, you're the CEO, president, however you title yourself, you have to protect yourself from that level all the way down. So, I learned early on too that, whatever you do as the owner or whatever you do as the business CEO or whatever, it flows down. So anything that's trying to come against the company is going to come straight up to you. You're going to be accountable for whatever's being said or done in the company at the end of the night, the beginning of the day. So I've never had any really reason to get personal in business until just recently. 5 years ago, I started my brand, which is my magazine. And because I had already been in business doing marketing and billing and administration for, 15 plus years. And I started a magazine about 5 years ago, and when I started the magazine, I just thought that it was going to be a project. I didn't know that it was going to turn into a full fledged business. And so when I started the magazine, it became my brand. And in that brand, I had to structure it and start creating strategies to deal with other people. And so mainly, it's
What do you
people
mean?
that you,
What do you mean by dealing with other people? Like how when you say structure it? Because there may be some people like me, I take everything personal. I did, I don't
right.
anymore. But like
Mhm.
how when you say you structured it because you were dealing with other people so you didn't take things personal, what do
Mhm.
you mean by that?
Well, actually, the magazine is for others. It was never for me. It was a magazine that opened up opportunity and platform for others. So I had to start building relationship with people closer, tighter than I did when I was just doing marketing and billing because I didn't really have to deal with nobody. I was doing all my work, in-house, virtual, or whatever. But with the magazine, it's
Okay, so now so you were kind of able to work by yourself
yeah, I
for a
always
while,
work by
and
myself.
then
Hmm.
now you're having to work, I guess with
With
the team,
others,
like
with a
a
team.
team.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and oh Lord, y'all. Well, y'all heard the list of episodes I've given,
Right.
so we know my experiences with working on a team. But before we continue, I do want to say that the team for the Get Me Paid Influencer Bootcamp is the
Yeah.
best team I have worked with in my
Yes.
entire blogging career. Um, from the speakers to the social media squad,
Yes.
everybody is professional.
Okay.
And it's funny because my mom said the reason I struggle with so many people and the reason I
Mhm.
take things personal is because other people aren't professional when it
Mhm.
comes to because blogging, I did air quotes,
Mhm.
people, is not considered a real business to a lot of
Mhm.
people. And yet a
Right.
lot of people are making real money. So I don't
Mhm.
see how that doesn't work. But anyway,
Mhm.
and so I never learned how to separate my
Mhm.
personal feelings from working with the team. Not saying I
Mhm.
don't have personal feelings working with this team, but this
Mhm.
team, I don't know about you guys, but you guys kind of pour into me without realizing it. You challenge
Okay.
me, which is a good thing. Um, you don't let me slack. And
Mhm.
so to be able to have that energy,
Mhm.
that's not what I had in the past. And in the past, the reason I could say I've dealt with business attacks is
Mhm.
because there was no, I guess you could say, mutual respect.
Mhm.
I think a lot of times business attacks come from lack of mutual respect and a
Mhm.
misunderstanding due to ineffective or poor communication.
which is true. And so, even with me, like for years, nobody knew that I was the publisher because I actually worked like correspondents. I worked like my editors. I actually wore the same uniform and T-shirts as them when we did events and traveled to different states to promote and to advertise and get people featured in the magazine. So nobody ever really knew that I was the publisher because in magazines, you never really can get to the publisher anyways because that's the person who structures the business, sign off on everything, the person who approves features and the person who signs up major contracts or whatever. So nobody ever knew that I was a publisher. So I always had a respect as if I was correspondent until we started tracking, we started doing like exploits around the globe. Like the magazine went from one state to 7 states in the very first quarter. And that's when I knew that I had to get like editors in other states to help contribute to the magazine.
So
And then
the explosive growth.
explosive growth. I'm telling you, the vision came directly to me. So I am the one that picked up the vision and ran with it. I am the one that invested into the whole project. I'm the one that developed everything that you see on the network from ground up. I could count on my hands how many third parties I've worked with since I started this, and basically, people, I guess the respect was mutual because, I looked like one of them until I got into a situation where I had to make a few executive decisions.
Oh, let me
And
pause. Let me mute myself on that. Okay. Because I know where you're about to go with this. Go ahead.
yes, I had to make a few executive decisions. I remember one time we were in New York, and me and Little Mo was the host media of the particular event. And I remember one girl was talking to one of my stylists who was actually I was doing publicist work for back then, and she comes in the midst of us and she says, yeah, so my stylist is talking to her, asking her what she do or whatever, and she says, "Oh, I'm in magazine," and so we was like, "Oh, that's good, we are too, or whatever. We're here to do media." And so she said, "Yeah, because I'm one of the editors on OK Hair magazine, and I basically do this, that, and the other, and blah blah blah." So we was thinking like, "You on what magazine?" And she said, "Well, I'm on OK Hair
Okay,
magazine."
but she was saying this to someone who's
She,
connected to, okay, okay.
and then she's saying it to the publisher. I'm
Yeah.
standing right there, and I'm thinking like, I don't know you. I didn't hire you. I didn't 1099 you. I don't even know your face or your name. And that's when it really took me by surprise because my stylist said, "Well, do you know that this is the publisher of the magazine?" And she's like, "You're not correspondent?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, "No, she's actually the man. Like, she's the man with the plan behind, the zine or whatever." So that I took that by surprise. And then from there, I began to structure myself differently because I had mentors and people who have done media and magazine and stuff for years just tell me like what are you doing? What is your strategy? How are you able to move this thing forward like that? Well, that's because I was building a brand. And so they told
So
me,
you were
what?
staying, so you were staying behind the scenes,
Hmm.
building, because now you see a lot of people who are more visible. Like
Yes.
we know who
Everybody
the
want to be seen. Everybody
yes.
want to be
And
celebrity.
so
Everybody want to be star. Hmm.
that one encounter kind of, I would say it's like the catalyst of having you think about like, how am I going to protect because I mean, she could have said it to anyone. Like, what if you weren't there, and she's going around representing um, to me, I take that as an attack because what if this person goes and says and does something, but they say they're with your brand and now they have done something to someone else that could damage like your reputation in ways that number one you weren't aware of, and number two you have no idea the cost associated with that.
Oh, I actually got a bill one time from because I trained my editors just like me. We would get on power calls at least a couple times a month. It was mandatory to get on the power calls. We would find our contracts, our agreements, and then I would literally train them and empower them on how to go out and do magazine. How to bring in advertisement and how to conduct themselves in lieu of the brand in their particular city. And so I did have a couple editors who, because I don't consider myself to be an entrepreneur. To be honest with you, I may look like a dingy blonde or something, but I didn't know what an entrepreneur really was until a couple years ago. And I was like, oh, that's what an entrepreneur was because I'm actually a business owner. You know what I'm saying? And so I operate from that
So
particular
I want
perspective.
you to give the or your definition because I don't see myself as an entrepreneur, but I'm also not a small business owner.
Right. Mhm.
I believe I'm more in freelance at this point
Mhm.
because I'm relaunching and rebuilding. But I do
Okay.
know the difference between entrepreneur and small business. So I
Okay.
want you to explain because everybody is a CEO, right?
Mhm.
These days, everybody's a
Yeah.
everybody's a
Mhm.
CEO, but there's a difference. Um, being a
Mhm.
CEO, being a small business owner, and being an entrepreneur. So I want you to kind of briefly explain those three differences: CEO, small business owner, and entrepreneur.
Well, I would say the CEO is the president, the head, the top of this whole infrastructure, the top of this whole building, the top of everything that's going on from the first level to the top level. That is the person who knows the ins and outs, the administration. That is the person who handles and makes all the executive moves and calls and everything that goes with that. That's a business. Somebody who has built this from ground up, or somebody who they gave it to you, but it came through the lineage of another business owner. That's what I would think a business owner is. A president, a CEO, they are the same thing to me. I know we all have like different statuses. Some are sole proprietors because I have been a sole proprietor for 14 years. I didn't really become an LLC until 3 years ago, and I had to get thrusted to become an LLC. I was comfortable in the tax brackets and I was comfortable in the structure of the business and I was comfortable with me being the only employee. But at the same time, I built this business from ground up. I check off all the accounts, everything that goes and happens through this business comes from and through me. So that's a business owner. I don't do it that on the side. I don't do it as a freelance. I don't do it for a hustle. It's actually my full fledged business.
Okay,
Um,
so um, we're in a little bit of background noise,
okay,
but for the people
okay.
who, because she's going to get to the entrepreneur, but for the CEO, that's more for like an
Mhm,
enterprise people. You're gonna have
mhm.
people under you. You're gonna have um, but you're ultimately, I want to say, responsible for everything.
You're
The
responsible
good, the
for
bad, the
everything.
everything. The small business
Mhm,
owner, like Chante was saying, when you start going to the LLC, you're going to have either employees full or part-time or 1099s.
mhm. 1099.
But
Mhm,
at the same time, you are similar to a CEO because you're still making all the decisions, you're still doing all the work, and sometimes people see that as you're on top and they want what you have, and we'll get to that
mhm,
later. and they don't understand all these other steps, that you have to do in order to be wherever they feel or believe that you are. So, and I'll let you get to the entrepreneur. What is the definition of being an entrepreneur?
Well, from my understanding, an entrepreneur is someone who has a desire or a dream to start something, but they don't actually do it as a full time job. Like they do it on the side as a hobby or a passion or a craft. And then, yeah, that's all I know about the entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I would say an entrepreneur is someone who's kind of getting their feet wet. They
Hmm.
may not have a solid business per se. I believe that when you have a solid business, you're going to make more money. Then you can build
Money.
another business,
Hmm.
another business. A lot of times I see people who say they're an entrepreneur and they continue to push the seven streams of income, but they don't have one.
Hmm.
And I'm like, you should probably
Right.
have one before you have two, before you have seven. Like,
Hmm.
you can't skip step
And a
one
lot of
to seven.
entrepreneurs have full-time jobs too. A lot of entrepreneurs.
Yes, yes, because
Hmm.
they're not, their business is not able to sustain at that moment. Um,
Hmm.
but I believe you transition from entrepreneur to small business owner when you start generating the revenue and you can pay other people's salaries. You know, whatever those salaries
Exactly.
are. So
Hmm. Or you can live. Yeah, you don't need a job. Yeah, or
yeah,
you don't need to work. I know
because
several
it's not because essentially
entrepreneurs
it's
who are
essentially
full
taking
businesses
um,
now.
going back to let's go back to the small business owner and the CEO,
Hmm.
because we were talking, or I mentioned the visibility, right? People see you, and just because people know your name, your
Hmm.
face, that doesn't mean you're a celebrity per se,
Hmm.
right? But in some people's minds, you may be one, and when
Hmm.
they see you as a celebrity, that's when jealousy or
Hmm.
envy could sometimes rear its head, because
Hmm.
if you're listening to this episode and you go back to episode 1, I talk about comparison, how you
Hmm.
see someone else and you feel I should be there, or I should have that, or I don't feel comfortable. You start comparing yourself. Um, so going back to the example you gave of the lady who said she was with your magazine and you're the
Hmm.
publisher and she not know. First of all, you're gonna be if you're gonna say you're with someone, you should at least know who the other people are associated, so you don't get blind.
Well, that celebrity spirit is real when it comes to magazine because it's I think the reason why people didn't see that they thought that I was a overnight success or whatever you want to say, but they
Ooh,
didn't
yeah.
see the years of designing and booking and managing and handling accounts for people who are actual celebrities. They just seen my work because it was their business, their product, their brand. They just seen the work. They didn't see all of the labor that I've done behind closed doors and behind these individuals.
So
So,
that in and of itself, that's one reason I am doing this podcast, is so that people
mhm,
can hear the stories
mhm,
of what it takes to not just be an entrepreneur, but the things
mhm,
that people are not aware of because it's not commonly shared. Like in
right.
season 1, we talked about being a homeless entrepreneur. That's not a commonly
Mhm,
shared thing. And this
mhm,
season, episode 3, I talked about the struggle of paying rent versus buying groceries.
mhm.
Sometimes you're to the point where you paid rent so you have a roof over your head, but now you have no money to go and buy groceries. And so,
Right.
like Chante says, people don't see the years and the years and the years of putting in the foundational work That's what I would say.
Right.
Foundational work.
Exactly. Well, back in the day when I was came up, we didn't have social media. I think like something like MySpace or something was out. And so now social media has given everybody a platform to, publish and advertise themselves and whoever they want to be, and people are getting, flyers and all these wonderful illuminated things designed and put out there. But for me, it's like once we came upon those people, we're like, dang, that don't add up. Like they look one way on social media, but then when we come to network or to event with their business, it's not even that, So that's one thing that's happening is that social media has caused this illusion for a lot of people, and then it's opened up a portal for other people to, like you said, look into what you're doing and start having fantasies and all of these, pleasures of wanting to do that too, or wanting to claim or own or, demise or whatever, something that they think they should be doing. So, we have that risk and that battle there, which is unfortunate. But for me, I've been so used to doing business in the marketplace and actually dealing with the actual um, person to where, that's where my accreditation and my report comes in. I believe that some of my attacks, personally, that came through magazine was because once people did find out that I was the publisher, they know, okay, if we could get to the publisher, then we even. And a
So
lot
they
of the
felt
people
like they could try to take you out, and then there would be a space for them or something.
no, because you can't. If you take me out, it's nothing's going to happen and nothing's going to go on. But what they knew is that I'm the one that's been getting all of these celebrities on the cover.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the one that's been doing the publicist and the PR and the interview work with the actual celebrity. And in my eyes, in every state that I've been in, I've actually lived in 5 states, due to me being married to a professional coach. I've lived in 5 states with him on different contracts or whatever, but we have traveled the globe. And what I've learned is that people are the same everywhere, but you do have people who are building and investing and who are local stars. And so for me, I always gave those people an opportunity and a chance, first and foremost. My covers have always been celebrities because, that's what helps grow the brand and the business by me putting celebrities on the cover and giving them inside spreads and features. But I mainly created my magazine for local brands and products and businesses that didn't have that type of exposure. I just brought it directly to them.
Okay, so we're going to take a quick sip and then we'll come
Okay.
back, continue our conversation.
Houston Catering Concepts is a full-service catering company in Houston, Texas. They are looking forward to catering your next event or family celebration. You can choose from Mexican, I love Mexican, Persian, barbecue, and more. Oh, and they are the food sponsor for Get Me Paid Influencer Bootcamp. Contact them today by phone 832-594-7296 or email orders with an S at houstoncatering.com. Mark your calendars. September 19th is the Get Me Paid Influencer Bootcamp. It's a one-day conference helping you understand the operational side of being an influencer so you make more money. Throughout the day, you'll learn different strategies you can add to your action plan. And that action plan is what you will implement when you leave. Make sure you go to gum.co/ Get me paid 19 to get your ticket today. No matter what, the freedom of waking up and not stressing out about money, paying your bills, getting things done, especially for your blog, is indescribable. And we want you to have that feeling too. So make sure you go to gum.co// get me paid 19 to get your ticket.
Okay, so we are back. And Chante, she's in the magazine world and she's sharing about, building the foundation. One thing she mentioned was when she became visible in the sense where people knew she
Mhm.
was now the publisher of OK Naturals. That's when people started to, I guess you could say, come at her. And so,
Mhm.
if you don't mind, what are some things you've had to navigate as far as people coming at you because now they know who the person is behind the brand?
Well, I've dealt with a situation that just came up again recently, which within the last, couple weeks, the last month. But my I guess my strategy has always been is to open up opportunity and platform for others. So in that, early on in the magazine, I had to go out and I thought, that's where I want to stop myself too, because I thought that I needed all of these different people to cause the magazines to become what it is today. And so I have started recruiting. I have started meeting. I have started hiring other editors, which was mainly like women in the hair, beauty, and fashion industry. All of these women are they weren't business owners, they were business opportunists or business entrepreneurs. People who have wanted to be in business. So what I did is I created something in my magazine that would give them not only another stream of income, but give them a place to platform themselves. And one of the main struggles I came up against is I don't even know how to call it, but I had to make an executive decision on a couple people that, one person in particular, I made a decision to meet her in her state at an event. And I signed, I drew up a contract for her because I'm always about opening up streams of income. So I was coming off with what before I knew like what magazine really was and how it was supposed to be compensated and contributing to it, I was giving off high percentages to people who I thought, that could bring more pages and more business to the magazine. And one particular person, I met with her. I drew up her a contract of 45%, which is really high and rare now that I know today. She
Yeah,
had
because
brought
I
a
do
different,
30. And
yes,
and that and
I stay at 25.
yeah, because most people are like 30. I was like, to me, I feel 30 is fair.
Right,
People are contributing and helping your business and
yes.
um, helping you get sales or whatever. So there's no way I feel 5, 10% is
No,
that's
that's not.
laughable.
That is, because there's a lot of work that comes in it. So you definitely want, if you have some really good contributors and supporters, you definitely want to give them a commission that would make them want to go out and do this. And then also, fair. That's what they say, right? So like even with me being in advertising, like that was another percentage that I gave off because I also gave the entrepreneurs space in the magazine to not just publish whoever they brought to the magazine, but they were able to publish their business and their brand. And one thing I do guarantee, I don't guarantee sales, but I do guarantee circulation and exposure
So
because
if
I'm a
people
full
were
ad.
to get upset if they're not, if they feel they're not getting enough exposure or something, like the people who are featured in the
Mhm.
magazine, have
Mhm.
you had anyone um, get upset or say like, I thought I was going to receive more hits to my
Mhm.
website, or I thought I was going to receive more followers for being um, featured? Have you had anything like that?
No, I never had that. I never had that at all because the way that I priced my magazine was based. I priced it at a place where I knew that people would pay it whether they got hits or not. Because of the simple fact that magazine is really high to advertise and to publish in a magazine. Then you don't know when you're gonna get published. It'd be thousands of dollars. So I know how we are in our community. We would go spend $1,000 on a purse or spend $1,000 on a network marketing business before we go spend $1,000 on a piece of paper. So I
What do you
actually
mean, piece of paper?
a magazine. It's a piece
Oh,
of
okay.
paper. It's a piece of paper, eventually it will burn. It's nothing but a piece of paper that, is formed together into a book that, is circulated everywhere that people can see you and read about you and see your best editorial pictures and what you're about, but at the end of the night, it's $1,000 for a magazine. And I prefer to go buy a 100,000 business cards for $1,000 versus publishing in a magazine. So I priced my magazine at a reasonable market rate that was
So the
affordable
people
for
who are
commercial and local.
so the people who are featured, they're good with that. They're not the
Yeah,
ones
I never
who.
had no problems. Like
So
nobody owes me and I don't owe anybody.
so the
Mainly
people
it was
who would, I guess, because I don't want to say problem, because it's not, you have a problem with anyone. So the types of people who may not appreciate or celebrate your success, it would be people who you think want to do what it is you want to do. Because as we're talking about overcoming business attacks in any industry,
mm-hmm.
sorry about that, y'all, I do live right by the airport, so that I couldn't
Okay.
mute myself. So anyway, because in any industry, someone is going to, and attack is is a big
Mm-hmm.
negative word, and we're not saying someone's coming up to punch
Like
Chante in the face,
physically.
or
Yeah. Because if
but
you get on me, I'm gonna
yeah.
have to get you off. I
so
have to
so
let you
we're
know
so
that
we're
up
not
front.
using it in that sense, but in any
Okay.
industry, because if we think about Oprah, I seem to use Oprah a lot
Mm-hmm.
because she's visible.
Yeah.
People attacked her because
Yeah, for success.
when
Yeah.
Robert Smith paid off the college loans, the student loans for the men of Morehouse, the 2019 class, I saw people on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram attacking Oprah, saying, why hasn't she done something like that? Well, her response is, have you sent 400 people to college? I said, okay, so, so a lot of
That part.
times, so a lot of times the attacks come from those people's lack of knowledge of what happened before they saw what they see now. If we're being real
Well,
honest.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Some people want what you got, but they don't want to do what you did to get it. And I think
Hmm.
that's why my attack pretty much came because what happened is I never wanted magazine. I never dreamt of it. I never cared about doing magazine. I had other dreams and it was never magazine. But I did get a revelation on high from God Almighty that told me to start a magazine. And one night in my sleep, it was 2 years later after praying, how was I going to do business in this particular city? So when I picked up the mantle, it provoked people who wanted to do magazine, people who always dreamed to do magazine and they really never knew how to do it and how to start it. I just came out and made it seem like it was so easy and it was like an overnight success or whatever. And that was provoking several people. I even have people shortly after me try to do it the same way or whatever. And I'm not really for sure, if they were able to pull it off or whatever. It's a lot that comes with it. But because I do specialize in advertising and design, that part pretty much flowed naturally, but everything else came supernaturally. I
Well, you
think
said two key things that I really want people to not miss. You said that
okay,
well, okay, three things. The first thing, it wasn't something you wanted. It was a
no,
vision that was given to you.
yep.
And then
And
it
when I
provoked
put it up, I ran
and
because
then
it
it
gave.
it provoked other people. So what I want people to
Mhm.
really listen to is that sometimes people get provoked by other people when it wasn't something they wanted to do in the first place. If you feel
Right,
that if
but
you
they
fit
took obedience.
Yeah, so if you feel you're being provoked because someone is doing something you said you've always wanted to do, but you haven't, maybe that's
Mhm.
God telling you, well, since you didn't want to do it, I'm going to go, like Chante said, give it to someone
Mhm.
who's obedient.
Right.
Because I never wanted to s- start a blog association.
Yep.
When it was literally handed to me, I took off and I ran and I started putting things into place. I did the work. I didn't know what
Yes.
I was doing, but I was doing the work. And
Yes.
then, I got this comment from someone, oh, I wish I had thought of it. And
Mhm.
so I did a whole blog post on that. When someone says they wish they had thought of it, that's like a
Mhm.
seal of
Hey.
now I want what you have,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
and so um, when I walked away, I was cool. I did a
Mhm.
video and I said what I needed to say. I did a
Right.
45-minute YouTube video and I said what I needed to say because I'm not one of those people who walks graciously, like people say, and
Yes.
silently. But at the same time, I spoke truth in that video because, like
Yes.
Chante said, she used that word provoke. What people see as visibility or
Mhm.
success, and I did air quotes,
Mhm.
that has nothing to do with the actual person that you're seeing being done to.
Right.
Shantae said this wasn't her vision. This wasn't something, oh, it was a vision given to her, but this wasn't something she had like, ooh, my whole life I want to be a publisher of a magazine.
Mm-mm.
She was obedient,
Yep.
and due to that obedience, she got blessed. She got, she's built a brand, a business,
Mhm.
and all these
And it's opened
opportunities.
doors
Hmm.
to my purpose. My actual purpose is in media. I'm from Los Angeles,
So it was a
California.
gateway.
Yeah, it was. It was the handle to my door.
Yeah.
And as soon as I stepped into that, it just started leading me down a path of media. That's where my real passion was. But some things that I did discover in doing magazines that I didn't even know that I really had it like that was design,
But you
developing
know what? I think
content.
it was your
Uh-huh.
training ground
Yes.
because sometimes we have to go through a little bit of fire to get refined. And,
Right.
you with OK Naturals, you've done a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you're in your space because you do TV and
Mm-hmm.
radio announcements
Radio.
and
Mm-hmm.
all of this stuff, you
Mm-hmm.
you're more prepared. You're more
Mm-hmm.
prepared to deal with people. You kind of know what to expect as far as personalities in a sense because
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't your dream. So it wasn't
No,
like,
it wasn't.
so it wasn't like you
It
were
wasn't.
too attached to it.
Girl, let me tell you something. I've been trying to come out of magazines or not come out to where, okay, I'm done with you, I'm leaving it alone. But I have been in print for all of these years. And
Mhm.
everybody has been going digital. So I have been trying to come out of print into the digital world because of the simple fact that it keeps my overhead down, it keeps my movement down. That's another reason why I moved to Houston so that I wouldn't have to travel out so far to grow and circulate the brand, that I could just do it 100-mile radius in my city and be successful. And then another thing that it did is um, there was a few people who they advertised with me because they wanted to learn how to actually do magazine and how to do it the right way,
Oh, I like that.
independently. Uh-huh.
That is smart, on their end to go. And a lot of people, if you want to know how to do something, sometimes going through the
Right,
process as the customer or the client will get
right.
you some insight that you may
Yes.
not get if you're only learning from the back end.
Well, yeah, and it definitely was a win-win situation because I own OK Hair Magazine and OK Naturals, but I'm the publisher of 5 magazines. 2 of them are nationwide, the other 3 are local. And all of those editors who own those local publications, I consulted them and I walked them one through one and I developed the magazine for them. All the content is theirs, it's their concept, but I developed the brand. I actually laid out the magazine, I published it, and I put it into print for them. And so that's the reason why I knew that magazine was not something that I ever desired to do because I wouldn't have never done that. I wouldn't have never even seeing myself being able to curate and develop and to publish all of these magazines, deal with all of these people, and then do it for other people. Because I pour. So what I did was I started pouring it into other vessels once I came to a place of, success, or came to a place of wanting to expand into greater things in this. So
So that one thing, pouring into other people, really helped you kind of deal with the business attacks, because like you said, it wasn't something that you wanted, number one, but you saw the people, or the people approached you who wanted more knowledge in that
well, they approached
particular,
me the right away. They approached
yeah,
me the right way
in
because
that
a lot of people
industry.
didn't.
So
A
I
lot of people just was crafty about it. They just wanted to figure out what I was doing. They wasn't
So
around me for the
I
right
think you
reason.
going through the process, because I tell people
Hmm.
sometimes what we go through is not for us personally, it's for someone else.
Yes,
So for you to go
yes,
through the process of the home girl who decided she was part of OK Naturals,
girl.
and then she didn't realize you were the publisher. Now you have that knowledge to impart on the
Yes.
people who come to you. So I really like that turn of events that I hope people are getting, that it
Hmm.
wasn't your vision, it wasn't something that you wanted to do, but you had the work ethic and the capability and the obedience to go through it. And now people who want to have their own magazine, they have a person, they have a source that they can
Hmm.
tap into who can help them. Because
Hmm.
you said it at the beginning, you started this off very well, saying that you don't take anything personal because you built the business to not be personal to you. Like it's
Hmm.
like you've been
Business.
able to separate um,
Hmm.
your personal emotions from the business, and that is definitely the definition of small business owner. Because
Hmm.
entrepreneurs, they take everything to heart.
They take everything because
Everything to heart.
yeah, they take everything personal. I don't take nothing personal. As long as you can pay my retainer and my deposit, we gonna get through this, and I'm not gonna take nothing personal. Now, what I do now that I'm a consultant, because I specialize in advertising, that is my niche. And thanks to Lynn Richardson, that's MC Light Publicist, she convinced me 2 years ago to become a consultant. It would help with the tax brackets. It would help me, launch into some other things in what I actually specialize in. And so I became a consultant. And so with me, I put even parameters around my consulting. I put parameters around my edits, my contracts, the whole 9 yards. I'm fully protected. So the attacks don't really reach me. The only time that it did get to me is just recently because my integrity, there were certain things about my, even my name. I already know how valuable my name is, so I ain't even moved by that. You feel what I'm saying? It was mainly my integrity. My if you come for my integrity, that's where you're really going to see the absolute side of me. Do you feel what I'm saying? Because my
Yes.
integrity, yeah,
Is
it can't be,
everything.
it's everything.
It is
You know,
everything.
it's everything. And my lawyers, the way they trained me is that because I am a powerhouse and because I do deliver and develop freely like it's nothing, that the main thing that I should protect is my intellectual properties. Because, I could just have a conversation with somebody and there I am dropping nuggets and there they are starting businesses. So, I just believe that the attack that I just came up against was purposeful. That attack showed me what I'm made of the more today. It showed me how what I'm doing is very effective and it's solid, because it couldn't penetrate. Even after going on a wow, like the attack that I just had was on a whole nother level and it came out the blue and it reached multitudes of people, but it still didn't breach the foundation. It still didn't penetrate nothing that I'm doing. It actually leveraged and it actually catapulted my name and what I really do out a little further.
I like how you said it was purposeful.
Uh-huh.
Because, in episode 2, we talk about believe. Think, what do you believe? You also use the word, you call yourself a powerhouse. Um,
Uh-huh.
I have that mindset now of
Uh-huh.
attacks being purposeful.
Yes.
I believe now that the attack I went through last year
Uh-huh.
was to get me out of my comfort zone because I
Uh-huh.
I became lazy because
Okay.
everything was easy. Everything was becoming easy. So
Uh-huh.
to remove me and put me where I now have to not work harder, but be more
Uh-huh.
strategic, think a little bit
Right.
more, be a little bit more
Uh-huh.
creative. I'm working with bigger accounts, but so
Uh-huh.
it stretched me. But in
Yes.
order to get to a new place, sometimes you have to have those personal
Them wake
attacks.
up calls. Yeah, they're
That's what
wake
it
up
is,
calls
a wake up call.
because let me tell you, I wasn't asleep. I was wide awoke when it came, and I knew it was coming. I felt it like maybe 2 weeks prior, so I went into protect mode. I went into the armor, and I made sure that whatever was coming, even though I didn't know where it was coming from, who it was coming from, that I was ready. And so that's where I was fully armored. But what it did to me is it jolted me to come out because I'm so used to just watching. I be watching these people act a fool all the time. Like I said, I'm standing right there, and the girl's talking about she's the editor on OK Hair Magazine, and I'm standing right there. I could have easily been like, "What? What are you? Who are you?" or whatever. But no, it didn't cause me to do that back then. But now, girl, I am advertising greater. I am putting work out there that I never released. I'm putting work out in clients.
Cause yeah, and that I'm telling you, those wake up calls, they come different. Sometimes they come
Yes,
very hard and fast. For
yes.
me it was hard, fast, unexpected. Even though I felt it, like you
Uh-huh,
said, you can feel it coming, but you're never really
uh-huh.
prepared for when it comes. But
Girl.
you can either wallow in it and woe is
Uh-huh,
me, or you can get up and like, okay, you know what? That person thought they knew what they were attacking, but they did not.
uh-huh.
And so,
Right, and some of those attackers or sabotagers, they really do come for destruction. So you have to shut them down. And that's what I
yes,
plan to do. That's what I am doing. I'm in the process of shutting down my attacker. We know exactly where she is. We know how to find her. And what I'm going to do to, because I'm not really petty, but I feel like if I want to sit back and learn how to be, I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start advertising because she put some nuggets in there. It's kind of funny how some people can lie, but if you really discern it properly, you can tell that okay, they are giving me some truth, right? So what I'm going to
Because they
do
tell
is
on themselves.
they tell on themselves.
They
She
do.
showed me how effective my advertising is, and it's just not Facebook. It's I have multiple outlets and networks that I do work for all kinds of people. So by them just posting my work, I know my work, and but people don't know it comes from me. So what we're gonna do is start advertising now in her city heavily. We're going to be putting up some billboards because I do billboards, I do commercial advertising, malls on a whole nother level. So I'm going to go into her city after, I prosecute her to the fullest. And then I'm going to, since she decided that she wanted to put her mouth and her name on something that doesn't belong to her, that fully belongs to me, then I'm going to go into her territory and show her how to really do this.
And see, like, that's where I wish I could do that, but
Yes.
the 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 entity, even though
Mhm.
technically legally it did belong to me, um,
Right.
I built it as a community entity. So
Mhm.
me walking away, I didn't go away silently. Like, I'm not gonna sit
Mhm.
here and pretend like, oh, I was this quote unquote gracious person. No, I did a whole 45-minute YouTube video. Like,
Girl,
but
yes. You got to get it out. That
I
that was my wake up call. Like, Chante, like, stop being quiet. You
yes.
have something else to say.
But not
And
just
you need to.
that, because you said integrity, and
Mhm.
I still don't care, how people, like, if you like me or you don't. That's your personal choice. I cannot change
Mhm.
that for you. But what I did say, and in that video, you can go and you can verify that,
Right.
um
Yes.
and that was all I was
Mhm.
trying to do. I said, people can go and lie on you and say all these things about you,
Mhm.
but here's the truth. Okay, this is my
Mhm.
truth. A year later, okay, we're literally recording this a year after I did that video. I'm
Mhm.
still blogging. I'm working with bigger clients. I'm known as an
Mhm.
influencer.
Yes.
Um,
A paid
a,
influencer.
yes.
Say that.
No one's seen. Oh, yes, I am a paid influencer.
Because it's a huge difference, and that's what I was
Yes,
saying. Like, okay, you said that you work for 8 magazines, but I own magazines. I don't work
there's a
for magazines.
difference.
It's a difference.
There's a
Mhm.
difference. But you can, from that video to now, you can see the trajectory of me putting in the work to show you that I didn't just say, "Oh, I'm a paid event blogger," and then nothing. Like,
Right.
you can go and verify.
Well, and
The
here's something else that it showed me too, and I hope that this do help somebody in the audience. It showed me support and true sisterhood because I was in a
oh,
place
mm-hmm.
before where I didn't know who to trust or who really supported me for the right reasons. But I have some women that raised, I have some very, very faithful, mature women. I even say that about you when you said, oh, my discernment's on a whole nother level. You was like, I don't got time to entertain. And plus, I went through that because you could have easily said, oh, well, dang, we're not putting this lady on our board or whatever, she's affiliated to do with us, that could have been the first response. But my first responders were very mature, seasoned, um,
Because
um,
like, not, and even if I hadn't gone through it, you should feel people. Well, I feel other people's spirit, so
mhm,
I know if someone is good or not. and
Right.
you can kind of feel people's intentions behind what
Mhm.
they were doing. Like I said, when I saw that message, I'm like, first of all, it's too early in the morning. I don't know you.
Oh, it's real
Like,
early. So that tell you
I didn't
right
have
there
time.
that
Yeah,
ooh,
I was like, I don't have time
where's
for
your
this.
energy being spent? Mhm.
Yes, I was just like, I don't have time for this. And then I'm like, I met her. Like that is not,
That's crazy.
because
Yes.
you can,
You could go to
when,
advertising in the city. There's a lot of people
yes,
that haven't met me and don't know me. And I am new to the city and I'm new to getting out and networking and getting my name. But my work speaks for itself. Like,
but even
there's
if
no
people
way.
didn't know you personally,
Mm-hmm.
all people have to do is go and verify things.
Bye.
If you
Mm-hmm.
say I'm a publisher, then go check and see what magazines. If you say I do advertising, go and see the placements. Like that's what I
Mm-hmm.
don't get that people don't understand. You can go and
Right.
verify a truth and a lie.
That's true.
So
And
that's why I don't
that's
lie because
something
I'm
that
like you.
I didn't
It
do.
makes it too
Yes,
easy.
yeah, because if you lie, you got to just find other ones to cover that one up, and so
Yes,
on
it's
and so
work.
on. And
It's a
and
lot of
then
work.
too, one thing I didn't do is back then I didn't I took everybody at their word. Like, yeah, if you came and told me you was the president, I will believe you until I found out
Aw.
otherwise.
No, that's not me.
No, until I find out otherwise. Now, I don't really trust people as far as I can see them because once you beyond that place, that's your secret place. So I don't know what you would do. You know what I'm saying? But I know in my inner space, as long as I can see you, we fine. And as long as you telling me this, okay, we good until I find out different. Well, back then, I really didn't do research on the different editors and businesses that was coming to me and wanting a partner or whatever. I didn't really do research on them. I just took them at their word until I got that check in my spirit, or until I was able to discern that this is not right. And that's when I shut it down, cut it off, whatever the case may be.
So we're going to, because this was a good conversation, good,
Okay.
a lot of nuggets, you guys. So we're going to
Mhm.
take our final toast and kind of share what we want you guys to take away from. So I'll let Shantae go first. What is your final toast?
My final toast is look, no matter what you're doing, whether it's in business or whether it's in personal, there's always going to be some type of challenge, adversity, obstacle, struggle. But your goal is to stay focused and to stay determined, stay true to what you're called and purpose to do and win.
I like that. My final toast, you said something that's sticking with me, that your obedience to bringing a vision to life that you didn't want or claim provoked someone else,
Mhm.
and it led to a purposeful attack. Now I'm
Mhm.
merging this because I want people to understand what I'm trying to say. Sometimes you are positioned in places that you never saw yourself because it's training ground for you for what it is you do want to do. You want it to be a medium. For me, I just love writing. Blogging, I never saw it. First of all, blogging didn't exist, when I was growing up.
Mhm.
But but teaching English was training ground. I can write my face off.
Yes.
Me being visible in certain positions provoked other people.
Mhm.
And that and provoking other people, it wasn't about me. That's what I had to learn. That's what I want you guys to get with the attack. It's not about you personally. It's about those
Uh-uh.
people seeing you doing something they had vision for themselves.
And
So you cannot take it personal. Oh, that just really kind
mhm.
of clicked for me.
Mhm.
Because I've said it, I've said it, that I knew my attack wasn't about me. But when you said that
Mhm.
provoking, I'm like, yeah, it disturbed them because they were like what I said I was earlier. You get complacent, you
Mhm.
get lazy in what you're doing. So that's my
Mhm.
final toast, is other people being provoked by you has nothing to do with you. You're in
Mm-mm.
position because you're in training ground for something else. So,
Something greater, something greater,
yes.
something greater, honey. Exactly.
So this has been a Toast to Truths with me, Vernetta, and
Yes.
my guest co-host, Chante Prince. This is season 9, episode 4, and we talked about the consequences we've encountered. Thank you so
Mhm.
much.
Go to VernettaRFree.com for the show notes. Make sure you go to VernettaRFree.com /category /podcast.